We're in the broadcast room and we're going to be talking about these cameras. So first thing to note, there's no touch screen on these cameras at all. The buttons down at the bottom are the way you're going to navigate. I'm going to hit the power button here, and we're going to talk about connections afterwards. But this is the camera, and you're going to notice this one actually has a label that says Camera 2. That's controlled inside the camera, what camera it thinks it is, and then it's going to listen to any commands that are sent on the Camera 2 channel. But if you had this camera labeled Camera 3, it would think it's Camera 3, regardless of where you've plugged it in. So understand that's kind of a tricky thing. So this camera, we've got a interchangeable lens camera. This is a micro four thirds lens mount. And so any micro four thirds lens will work. Come over to the other side for me for just a second. You're going to notice on the front, there's a yellow button. This is a release. And whenever you're putting the lens on, you're matching up the red dot to the red dot. Boom. And you can click it in and then turn it up until it clicks. Now you have a lens on. This lens and a lot of the lenses we have here right now are manual focus and manual zoom. And some of them go in and out and some of them don't. So whatever lens that you put on here, we have a few of them. Some are for shorter and some are for longer, but it's good to have the ones that are f2.8 if you can. It'll make the lighting look better in different scenarios. So a couple things to note on the camera itself. So can you see the screen? So if you guys watch where it says Longhorn Live down here at the bottom, I'm turning the focus ring on the front, and you see all this green stuff. That's called focus peaking, and that is turned on inside of our settings so that we see that. But no one actually sees that out in the house. This button here says Display, and that's going to toggle whether or not we see these buttons on the guides on the outside. We want to see it cleanly. Over here we have a button that says Focus, and it will try to automatically focus a lens that has a motor in it. If you hit Iris, it's going to try to set the f-stop to be correct. PTT stands for Push to Talk, which we're going to go over intercoms in a minute. PGM stands for Program, and you notice when I hit Program on, now we see nothing. This is connected to the switcher, so it's showing you whatever is actually going live to program at the moment. There's nothing at the moment. There's a LUT button that is a lookup table. That button is inactive on this camera. These are the arrows. Notice it goes left, up, set, down, right. That's what you're going to use to navigate menus, the display, and finally the menu button. Now the up and down buttons, when you're not connected to a switcher, even when you are, when you hit up or down, it's changing the f-stop number. And that's making it darker or more open on my camera as we go. So that's the way you can control that, but the camera control person can do that as well. So before we get into the menu system, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the connections that are here. Coming over to the side, on this camera you're going to see a couple of jacks, a headphone and a microphone, and then 2 XLR jacks. Now these are aviation style headsets on this particular thing, which has a microphone and headphones on the same thing. These look like they're the same, but they're actually not. One of them is smaller than the other. So the headphone jack is the bigger one, and that's going to plug in up at the top, and the smaller one is for the mic. Make sure they click all the way in, and then you're going to be able to use that for talkback signals. If you had to connect to a microphone or a switcher, there's where the XLR jacks are. There are some built-in mics on the camera too, and they're not things I would recommend using really ever. So around the other side, the connections that we have, there are SDI out and SDI in, and this is the way that you get control to the camera with the SDI in, and this is what your actual video feed shows up. You notice neither one of those are actually connected right now, and we're still getting stuff because this up here is a fiber optic connection, and fiber optic is a different cable type, but it actually is an SDI in and an SDI out on fiber optic cables. Down here you're going to see a reference. This is for syncing cameras. We don't use that right now. And then a 4-pin XLR power jack. Now a note on the power. All these cables are kind of bundled together, including some power and signal cables for the teleprompting system. And they're bundled together right now in this long snake. It comes over here. And this is where the other end of those connections are going. We have fiber, we have power, which are the camera power lines right here, and then these other power ones that are coming from, that's for the teleprompters down there at the moment. But that's where the power is coming from. And that's it. That's everything that really is running up to that front. So when we get in here, I'm not going to give you everything about these cameras. You can look up a manual on them. If you hit the menu button, you're going to see 4 different icons up at the top, and your up and down is going to take you through. So if I'm going left and right at the moment, because these are orange up at the top, it's going to show me the different potential options. So here is on the last one, you're going to see camera number 1 or 2. I could change that if I wanted to. And there's options for how loud is the headset, how loud is the mic, how loud are you hearing the program come back. There's a couple things for display, and this is where you have the option for focus peaking, which is that green, that green kind of thing going on. There's also tally lights on this. On the front and the back, there's a red light that will go on whenever that camera is on the air from a switcher. And some audio. You have audio, and then down here, I'm going to go down on this one. So I'm going to hit the down button, and now I'm on this. Now you see it's orange where it says inputs. I can choose inputs, camera, and then if we're on inputs, we come down here and we have input levels. We could say mic low, mic high, line. And so depending on what kind of source you're connecting, you might want to change it. And then channel 1 input, channel 2 input, and whether or not you want phantom power on is all on that screen. So if I hit the menu button, it's going to go back up to the top level menu. And then over here, you can see some things that are actually being controlled by the switcher. So let's talk about that for a second. None of these cameras actually record anything. They have no hard drive in them to store video files. These are production cameras for doing things live. So features like the tally lights and the talking features, that's all there so that you can do live things. I'm going to hit the menu button to make it go away. Whenever you are connected correctly with an input, either to SDI in or the fiber optic, as long as it's carrying the program feed from the switcher, now you have the ability to control the color, the tally lights are going to work, the talkback stuff is going to work. If you don't get a program feed coming from the mixer, then it doesn't work. But let's talk about that for just a second. So here's our headset. If I were to put this on, I can hear the person in the back room talk to me. If I want them to hear me, I have to either press PTT when I want to be active. So when I push it, they can hear me. When I release, they can't. Or if I double tap it and it turns on, sometimes it takes a while to get it to turn on. Now they can always hear me. So that's how you run the camera in just sort of a nutshell. I'm going to power it off. And in another video, I'll talk through the talkback system in the back end.